So I'm gonna head over to the Javits Center. There was an ambulance at the building across the street from my apartment when I just went upstairs, but it's gone now. Not sure what it was doing there. Interesting for people to see that there's no line outside Whole Foods today. It's raining, and I've got Crazy Dave's favorite umbrella with me. I don't know if that's terribly interesting, but there was a press conference just earlier. Governor Cuomo was standing outside the Javits Center. Unfortunately, I heard about it from Charles. I received a phone call alerting me to the press conference, and I was in line inside of Whole Foods. So I wasn't able to get over there as quickly as I would have liked, but I know a lot of people are very anxious to see how reality compares to what we're being told. I'm checking to see if we're live here. It looks like we are. Okay, so it's always complicated. Now, is it live? Do we just have the... I love the umbrella. Good. Okay, so people can see it. Yeah, I don't know what the issue is with this umbrella. It's a red umbrella and light shines through it, and even if it were pink, who cares? It's an umbrella. It's raining. Anyway, so I've looked at this a little bit more closely. So we've got this guy, Todd Semonite, who is a lieutenant colonel, lieutenant general, is that possible? He's a highly placed Army dude, and he's the head of the Army Corps of Engineers. He made the announcement at the press conference that, you know, in light of everything that we're hearing, one person per hour in New York dying of coronavirus, and the hospitals being overrun, according to them, we need this triage hospital over there at the Jacob Javits Center. And he spoke about how they're going to cut contracts with people. So, I mean, that's reasonable if the government is going to use your business for something for them to pay you. But I always wonder whose businesses are getting selected to get paid while the rest of us stay home doing nothing. Let's make sure that microphone can hear me. So I wanted to head over there. It's very likely that I've missed the governor, which is unfortunate, because I wanted to ask him some questions about, you know, why there's such a reduced police presence here in the city. If they're keeping train stations open, they should have maybe not regular police patrols, but certainly sufficient police patrols that it shouldn't deteriorate into friggin' Thunderdome inside the Penn Station there, where if people saw the video yesterday on Sunday with Charles and I were attacked. We were targeted by that guy. If you go to the very beginning of the video, that doesn't usually happen, but we've got a little barricade on the sidewalk here. I mean, again, we see these little subtle indications that societal norms are breaking down, rules aren't being followed, and I mean, you know, a couple of plastic bins on the sidewalk is no big deal. A young couple having a glass of wine in the park is no big deal. Maybe you might consider petty robbery a big deal, but uh-oh, I just realized someone just texted me that I have an appointment that I hope I'm going to be able to get back in time for. 3:15 right now. Yikes. Oh my. Okay, so we got to do this quickly. I wanted to start all the way over here because I wanted to walk by that spot where the other day we saw all those FDNY ambulances just parked there doing nothing. Now, it's raining today, so there's very little people out, very few people. We got more cars than I would have expected. Damn, I totally forgot about that appointment, but I'm gonna have to make it back in time for that. Let's see. So yeah, I wanted to go back over there because, I mean, if we're having such an emergency here that we need this triage hospital right away, how could we possibly have all those FDNY ambulances sitting there? I would expect FDNY, the fire department of New York, to be running around collecting sick people and bringing them to the hospital if in fact we are overrun with coronavirus victims. I mean, again, people all over the internet have been pointing out curious incongruencies that seem to contradict what we're being told. You know, this Todd Semonite, he has a press conference on Friday about the urgency of this national emergency, but on Saturday, I mean, I didn't see so much, not a single Army person there, no engineers, nothing, nobody there. It was me and two news guys getting B-roll footage of the thing being totally empty, and I don't know, it would seem if this was such an emergency, the Army would be over there doing something right away. Instead, we're hearing press conferences and announcements. So I didn't get to see the press conference that Governor Cuomo was holding. Charles told me about it, and from what he described, it was a tight shot of the governor, podium in front of the Javits Center. I don't know what he said. People can look online. My initial search didn't find it. You would think Javits Center, Governor Cuomo, searching under news for today would bring you right to it, but I didn't find it. So hopefully people can find that and we'll get a better idea of what the governor was telling us. But what I want to do right now is go over there and see what's happening on the ground. We're going to walk by the fire department's parking lot for their ambulances and see if the ambulances are still there or what. And then we'll take a look at the Javits Center and we will see if there's any Army Corps of Engineers activity over there. I mean, I presume there's got to be. They can't tell you that they're going to do something and then not do it. But I mean, how quickly can these things be mobilized? I would hope. You know, the Army has so many resources. You'd think you'd at least just send somebody over there, take some pictures, take some notes, get on a phone call, start talking to people. I mean, why wouldn't they have Army guys buzzing all around that thing? You would presume if the guy's giving a press conference saying they're going to do it, they've already decided to do it and they've spoken to other people about it, and it should be underway before they tell us, or soon after. A day seems like a lot of time in Army time to me. I'm not an Army guy, I've never been in the Army, but that seems like a lot of time. I can't really look at comments because now I got one hand holding an umbrella, cell phone strapped to the wrist, another phone on this thing. Oh, I got to keep my eyes out for lunatics who might sneak up behind me and try to steal this or otherwise injure me. I think it's less of a problem during the day out here, and also if you're you know, on the street and don't have lots of changes of clothes or a shower, I think being in the rain is something you really don't want to do. So right now, I don't think there's any problem out on the streets, but I do think it's becoming, the needle is moving towards less safe as far as walking around at night in New York City. I definitely don't think that Penn Station is as safe as it was. Obviously, it's not totally dangerous. I was doing a number of things that were not wise if you're going to be walking around in the street. Luckily, I was with Charles. Being alone would be one thing. You should be very alert if you are. Don't be looking at your cell phone as I was when you're walking around. Be very aware of your surroundings, who's behind you, who's in front of you, who might be lurking. There's far fewer people on the street here, so you can kind of keep tabs on whoever might be out. All right, we're approaching the Highline stairwell, and that's right where the fire department ambulances are parked. Guy's out walking his dog. Certain elements of life remain normal, but not really. I mean, so I went into Whole Foods today. Luckily, there was no line outside, but it's still moving very slowly inside there. The cashiers are no longer bagging groceries. You got to bag them yourself. Not a big deal. Okay, here's an FDNY ambulance coming back. So that counts as being out and driving around. There's far fewer over there right now than there were on Saturday, but there are 4 sitting there. That's perhaps contradictory to the concept of a national emergency level viral pandemic. I mean, again, For me, I would think most or all of the city's ambulances would be occupied if we were exceeding the capacity of hospitals. I don't know what kind of equipment is in ambulances, but we're talking about having underwear companies create medical equipment. Is there any way that these ambulances could be used to do something other than sitting around, even if it's for a few hours? I mean, if you've got 4 of them there, let's see how many are, well, we got a 5th one pulling up over here. I don't know how many ambulances the FDNY normally has, but let's see if we can talk to these guys if they pull into the garage. Chat with them. They might not be into that, but we'll see. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6 ambulances, 7 ambulances. It doesn't say don't enter. It doesn't say don't film them. Let's see what they say. There's nobody here standing at the, Hey, excuse me. Excuse me. Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Have you guys been super busy collecting coronavirus patients around the city?
I'm sorry?
Have you been super busy collecting coronavirus patients around the city?
I can't really comment on that.
I mean, you seem to have like a sandwich in your hand. You don't look like there's any urgency. You didn't run into there with a victim. You're not running out to another. Are there a lot, or it seems like a lot of ambulances sitting here?
I'm changing tours right now. Restocking.
Restocking? Okay. I mean, interesting that the guy would even stop and talk to me for 5 seconds. You would think if it was a citywide pandemic, people like ambulance drivers would just run out of there, run inside, get what he needs. That guy had a sandwich and a piece of tin foil. I don't know. I'm seeing a lack of urgency around here that is confusing to me. We heard Mike Pompeo say that we're in a live, what did he say? We're in a live exercise? Okay, yeah, we want to go up 10th Avenue to get to the Javits Center. Let's see if we can do this quickly enough. I mean, again, we're not finding definitive, anything. This is just evidence that ambulances are sitting here. And, ambulance drivers, why aren't they wearing masks and rubber gloves and protective gear if they're handling people with this deadly contagious virus? I mean, it makes no sense. We're all told to close down our businesses and sit inside our houses, but so far, every official person that should be responding with urgency to a viral pandemic seems not that bothered. We saw the EMT down at Presbyterian Hospital. I believe that's the largest hospital in New York. He was also moving at a leisurely pace. I mean, I'm not criticizing the guy. I'm just saying he looked like somebody who was loading the van for a regular day of beginning work, not like somebody who was in the process of responding to an emergency call at that moment. So, I mean, again, people can draw their own conclusions from this stuff. I'm trying to move a little quickly here. It's crappy today. It's very cold out. It's wet. It's raining. My socks are wet. My feet are wet. This is get sick weather for sure. So staying inside today might be a good idea. But we're not going to do that. We're going to try to dash up to the Javits and see what we can see. Here's the guy with dry cleaning. Ooh, he just almost took a dive. So see, now that's the other thing. What if you're just walking down the street with your dry cleaning, you slip, you fall, you break your leg. Yeah, here's a very wet piece of plywood. Be careful on that. Sorry I can't see comments right now, everybody. Not enough arms. If you didn't get to see Sunday with Charles yesterday, it was something else. That guy, if you watch it from the beginning, He comes walking into frame right, sees us, realizes that we're two people who aren't, vagrants, and he makes a 90-degree direction change, starts walking right towards us, stands behind us on the escalator. One subtle aspect of that exchange that people might not have noticed, but if you watch it again, you'll see right before that guy is right upon us on the escalator, this camera stabilizer turns off. The camera starts pointing up at the ceiling, it just switches off, and the camera starts wobbling on the gimbal. And I said something like, whoa. So I turned it back on, and you hear it make its little doot, 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 doot startup sound, and then the camera restabilizes. And in the process of framing up on myself and Charles, I guess this guy who was out in public and has no presumption of privacy and no legitimate right to tell me not to film him, he can leave, cover his face, walk away. But if you're in public, I'm allowed to use a camera in public, and if you get photographed, too bad. Particularly when we're photographing something that's newsworthy. Anyway, this guy, I saw it in the playback. I didn't notice it yesterday, but he starts screaming at me to turn the camera off. And I just didn't hear him. I didn't know he was talking to me. We're in a train station. So we start walking down the stairs. And then I did notice the guy behind me. I was actually trying to get him out of the frame, respecting his space, trying to focus on Charles and myself. And he comes up and smacks me. He runs up behind me and smacks me from behind like a coward, and he says, give me the camera. The guy was obviously trying to rob us. And I mean, look, I'm not going to start a fight. I don't need to get toe-to-toe with some wild maniac so that the anonymous trolls of YouTube can be satisfied that I've proved something to someone. But that could have been a very dangerous situation if that police officer hadn't walked onto the scene. I think it's quite obvious that guy would have pressed the issue, and who knows where it would have gone. I certainly have no desire to fight with homeless people or anybody. I don't know if that guy was or wasn't homeless, but there's another thing to consider. Do people remember the lying social engineer, George Webb? Yeah, people remember him. He's got a friend named Peter Duke, who in a phone call with me said, well, he acknowledged that he had this facial recognition. What was that company that recently got in trouble with the facial recognition software that's used for gang stalking? Duke admitted in the phone call that he had that on his phone. Somebody else told me that he had it, and he admitted that he did. And then he attempted to strike the video on YouTube to get it to go away. Why would he do that? And did this guy at Penn Station yesterday, did he have a similar phone app that alerted him that this show just went live and stopped the broadcast however you can? I mean, why didn't the guy hit me in the head and steal the camera? He seemed focused on ending the broadcast, and if the cop hadn't shown up, that probably would have occurred. Frankly, the fact that it didn't occur just from him smacking the thing out of my hand is somewhat amazing. Looks like the bowling alley has become a Whole Foods over here. We're getting close to the Javits. I'm pretty sure that used to be a bowling alley, and now it's another Whole Foods. Whole Foods, I'll tell you, bear in mind it's not that long ago that Amazon.com took it over. So now Amazon.com controls what you buy online. They've put most retail stores out of business. They control Whole Foods, which in my case is the supermarket. I'd have to go a pretty good distance to get another supermarket that isn't Whole Foods. And now they're controlling your access to the market. They have that line there because they don't want more than a certain number of people in the store at a time. But that is hugely unscientific and stupid, because when you're in the store, you could stand as close to anybody else in there. Somebody could spit on you, lick you, touch all the food. I mean, it's an idiotic thing to do. It just, that says opening in 2020, so it's not there yet. But they got a lot of control. Jeff Bezos has a lot of control over what you are or are not able to access. It's really raining a lot. I don't know. It's a little bit overexposed out there. I don't know. Photographing rain is a age-old problem, very difficult to do. But I promise you, it's very cold and crappy out right now. We're going to see if the Army is braving this weather or if they've even rolled in any trucks. Because to me, if you do a press conference on Friday saying we're going to build a triage hospital in New York City for this incredible emergency, and then come Monday, you haven't begun, well, let's not assume. Maybe they have begun. You can hear the rain picking up. Jeez. Well, this might be one rainy day where I'll be able to actually get a cab, perhaps. So we're on 33rd Street. Now, where's the Javits? Here, I'm on 10th. I think it's one block to the left. Sidewalk closed. I don't usually come over here, so the exact streets you need to access it are, I think it's to just past this. There's a huge McDonald's up here, I think. Well, I wish I could have comments. I'm curious to hear what people think. Let's see what else is going on in New York. Street's still pretty empty. But there are people around. I wonder where all these people are going and what they're doing. People have been sending me messages telling me the price of gas in their town. Charles told me the national average is 49 cents a gallon. That seems impossible, but I guess so. Okay, there's the Javits Center. Tonight on Unseen Libya with Jimmy and Joanne Moriarty, we're going to have retired State Senator Richard Black. He's going to come on to give us his insights and share, the latest information about COVID-19 in Virginia and other insights. Senator Black was a JAG officer. He is a Vietnam veteran. He's really a fantastic guy. If you haven't seen him before, tune in tonight. And if you haven't seen Jimmy and Joanne Moriarty, you really need to get onto Patreon and Subscribestar and watch Unseen Libya. They are the Texas couple that started an oil services business and were doing business in Libya from 2007 until 2011, when the U.S.-led NATO-backed invasion and destruction of Libya began. Their business was decimated. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars. They live in a shack in the woods in Texas now. They've been pursued by DIA, FBI, CIA. Robert Mueller's investigative team hassled them at their house about articles they had written with Dr. Corsi. I bet you could get into the Wedge today without too much problem, or the Edge, or what is that thing called? I can never remember. If it's open, it's probably closed due to coronavirus. So there's the Javits Center. I don't know if people can see that. Get the umbrella out of the way. It's a gigantic building. It's a convention center. It's pretty difficult to access. There's not a lot of subways that go over here. Whoa! Oh, the umbrella just turned inside out. Oh, this is a day where being confined to home is not a terrible idea. The umbrella. Okay, so now we're at the west side, so we got the water right over there, and it's a lot more windy. Now again, I think if the Army were like super engaged in some project here, wouldn't we expect to see trucks all over the place and cops blocking off the street to these stupid taxis and civilian cars? This is supposed to be an emergency event, and they're supposed to be building this triage hospital. What have we got? This looks like exactly it looked like yesterday. There's nothing going on there. Let me get to the bottom of this. Are there any Army vehicles here at all? I see buses, mega buses getting ready to go to Washington, D.C. Do we see any vehicles down there? These NYPD things are always here to prevent people from driving car bombs up or something like that. But here's the Javits Center. I don't know, do those look like Army vehicles to anybody? Does anybody see activity around this Jacob Javits Center? What is going on? Because it doesn't look like a lot of activity to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all the Army stuff is down over there. Here's a guy with a porta potty. Maybe he's got all the triage equipment in there. Maybe that's not even a porta potty. What is that? Could be anything. Okay, there's an ambulance from North Shore University. Got a Bolt bus. We got, I can see ABC News truck down there. ABC News. Ambulance waiting. This guy's from New Jersey. Telemundo. I don't know. Are they maybe inside doing all the crazy work? Oh, no. It looks like nothing is happening inside. Absolutely nothing. It's closed. There's nobody in there. There's nothing going on. We see a couple of news vans. We see a couple of vans that likely were used to transport the governor here and his entourage. And then we have normal construction vehicles that were already doing construction here. Now, if you didn't live in New York and you saw all that, and the governor was telling you we're building an emergency hospital, you might think, wow, they got that started quickly. But no, that's an expansion of the Javits Center that's been going on. I mean, when do they plan to begin this emergency work, and how much of an emergency is it if they've already had 2 press conferences about it and there's not even, you know, Beetle Bailey is not here taking notes or doing anything. So what's up? Sackler tripod. Javits Center down there. I mean, this to me seems strange. When is the Army getting here? When is this hospital starting to get built? If there's such an emergency that we need to close all these businesses and keep everybody home, why don't they start building it like today? Wouldn't that make sense? I don't know if there's anybody here we're going to be able to talk to. Yeah, Javits Center expansion, you can see it right over there. That's the only thing getting constructed here. I don't think these people are going to want to talk to me. They're working for the news. They don't like to be interviewed. So, I mean, did people see the press conference? Is this where the governor was speaking? I mean, it looks like something was happening here. We've got lighting. He's probably being interviewed right here with the Javits Center behind him with nothing going on there. Yeah, those are news people running their camera. I'm pretty convinced there's not a whole lot going on here. My battery is getting low and I've got to get back. So here's another ambulance. Now they are driving around, but usually when you have a person who's dying in an ambulance, you don't stop at red lights. You put on the party lights and you get right to the hospital, to its suite. So what the hell is going on with all the ambulances in this town? No sense of urgency whatsoever. Going to end the broadcast here, everybody. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, become a sponsor of Crowdsource the Truth if you're able. Even if you're, just watching the free broadcasts and haven't even tapped into the huge library of sponsor-exclusive content, I can't keep the shows coming without your support. So please become a sponsor. Go to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I'll see everybody tonight with Jimmy and Joanne Moriarty and Senator Dick Black for Unseen Libya. Don't miss it.